Hello everybody. In this final section, part C, I'm just reiterating some things that we referred to a little bit earlier on, but focusing in on accountancy or accounting practice for small business, and in this case, the community enterprise. We can't reiterate enough the importance of, as it says, the accounting element of the community enterprise. So what we're going to look at are what are key principles, or more particularly probably key practices of accounting for small businesses, no matter where you are. So the first principle would be to keep accurate and organised financial records. What we mean by that is find some way of keeping track. It's not the place for uncertainty about how much money is owed or how much money has to be kept. It's absolutely important here to keep accurate and organised financial records. So organised means that they're in the one place, that they're stored by somebody, that somebody in particular has control over them, and that the documentary evidence is very clear all the time. To do this, like as we've said earlier on, very often people might begin by using just Excel software, but as you progress, finding what are considered to be reliable accounting software is really important. The other alternative is to, as again we've alluded to earlier, work with a professional accountant to ensure the records are up to date and properly categorised. What that means is that that person, that professional, can really be helpful to you when you're actually trying to manage that. And we've referred to that, I suppose, earlier on in the governance part of this. But somebody, either the software itself or the accountant, are critical. Because what you have to keep track of is every source of income, all of your expenses, all of your invoices, all of your receipts, to ensure that the organisation stays healthy, and particularly that you can stay on top of it. So that's number one. Number two then is something that primarily shouldn't be an issue for a community enterprise, but it is important to say, like again following from the governance element of it, that your community enterprise must be separate from your personal or your family or any other personal accounts that you might have. So one of the challenges is to set up a dedicated bank account that's only used for business related transactions. So your community enterprise, all its funding goes to one bank account, not multiple bank accounts unless you get to be very big, but one bank account. All of your income goes in there, all of your expenses goes in there. This also is really important because it simplifies everything. All the transactions are going through the accounts. Just one thing to mention in passing with that, because so much of the banking we do now is online, then it's important to have some protocols around not so much the money coming into the account, because it should be transparent, like who it is that's paying you. But if payments are being made electronically, again, it's really important that there is a clear rule about who it is that's entitled to transfer the money out of your accounts to somebody else, and what kind of process is in place to ensure that whatever money is being paid is documented correctly along the way. The next one is number 3, is what's called implementing a regular bookkeeping schedule. Now, I said that bookkeeping doesn't necessarily mean manual books like in the picture. It can be electronic, like if you're in a coffee shop and that's your community enterprise, then all of the cash should be accounted for through your cash register, for example. But what it's said is that it's really important that at least one time every week or every month is set, somebody sits down, reviews and reconciles all your financial records. So keeping track every day, reviewing at least every month, if not every week, exactly where you are with your accounts. And the importance of reconciling like bank statements and recording transactions. And for people who are not used to it, the reconciling means, like, you might think you have €1,000 in your bank account, and actually the banks say that you've only got 900, and being able to examine that and determine where the other €100 is. Is it an outstanding payment that needs to be followed up on, or are there bank charges that weren't accounted for in your system? This regular bookkeeping ensures that everything is accurate and that any errors or discrepancies or issues are identified early. And it's so important, this scheduling or this managing of your books, and finding a way, ideally I think somebody to look after it separately, but to make sure that you have a system in place, because this is where it's so easy for everything to go wrong for the community enterprise itself. One of the things we've mentioned just in passing, but the whole area of your tax obligations. In an Irish context, if you're set up as a charity, there are rules as they apply to charity in terms of your tax compliance and in terms of what you pay tax on and when you pay tax, or whether you're completely tax exempt. Because in Irish tax legislation, some things are tax exempt, some things are not. Some amounts of income are allowed to be untaxed and some are not. But also in relation to tax, we're also talking about, VAT, what value added tax. What are the rules in relation to that? What are the rules in relation to reclaiming value added tax if you are a charity? What our language is pay related social insurance, and that's an employer's tax. Basically, when you pay your employees, you have to pay an employer's element of PRSI, and of course corporation tax if it applies to you. So keeping track of your tax obligations, and supported by what we've said already, your proper records and filing your returns accurately and on time, is really important. Again, like as your business grows, consider consulting with a tax professional to ensure that you are compliant, but also to consider what the tax benefits may be to you. Also, I don't know about your own country, but in Ireland, revenue are generally helpful if they are contacted early in terms of queries. If your business becomes very large, the importance of having the tax professional will be essential. But in an early stage, it's about compliance. It's about being fully aware of this, because not knowing is not an excuse at the end of it all. And finally, with this element of it, and I think it's reiterating this, it's beneficial to engage a professional accountant or an accounting firm. They can be really helpful. And I think we've mentioned a little bit earlier on about budgeting and cash flow statements and so on. They can also help you with those, doing some financial analysis and budgeting and forecasting to help them make the best future decisions. So I suppose overall, in terms of the accountancy part of it, what we're saying for the community enterprise is it's really critical to have a system in place to ensure that there is documentation of all money coming in and all money going out of the organisation, that there are systems in place in terms of who's entitled to access the bank accounts, both from paying in but particularly the paying out part of the business, and starting and keeping track of it and on some kind of a regular basis is critical. So hopefully that's been a little bit of help along the way.